warning.
We're going to be talking about a lot of The Last of Us show and spoilers. So if you don't know what's going on, you might want to figure out what's going on first before you watch this.
Hey guys, welcome to Video Vultures. My name's Nathan.
And I'm Carissa.
And this is our guest star today, Adrian. Last of Us enthusiast.
So we're going to be talking about the adaptation of The Last of Us show because the game means a lot to us. And we got a couple of critiques.
I've never played the game myself. I've only seen the show, so I don't really know what's going on.
Oh, well, we'll make you learn, trust. Do you have anything to say, Adrian? Well, why does The Last of Us mean a lot to you?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually.
I like the story a lot. It's a very meaningful, emotional story.
There's just like two of them, right?
Yeah, there's three. Because of a DLC, kind of. There's like a mini.
That's the Left Behind episode, the Riley episode.
Yeah.
Oh, Riley episode?
Yeah, that's the DLC.
Okay, which we will be getting into.
Okay, so season 1, how do you feel about the casting, guys? I personally like the casting. I think Pedro Pascal and Bella
Pascal's
Ramsey.
hot. Sorry, I hate to say it. I loved him. I loved watching him for many episodes.
The game is so much like a movie already. It's so cinematic.
Yeah.
That the actors are so good in it too. Like Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson are really good. They're the ones who created it. But
did they do that like motion capture?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's like literally the actors acting in the game.
Yeah.
That's why it's so good.
Oh, the more you know.
They're both musicians in a way. So like whenever they do singing, it's like
Oh, so they were singing for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were singing.
The end of episode 2 of season 2 when Joel that's Ashley singing Through the Valley at the end of that episode.
Is Ashley Ellie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
In the game.
And Ashley Johnson plays Ellie's mom in season 1.
Right. Which I thought
season.
they look so similar.
They kind of do actually. I feel like the casting is a little.
Like when I saw the mom who is the Ellie in the game, I was like, oh, those are like twins.
As for being Ellie, I think in season 1 it works when she's kind of younger and like more childish. But in season 2, when she's supposed to be kind of crazy and enraged and violent, for me it doesn't really work. I think I still see someone who kind of looks too young.
They look very young.
I agree.
They do look really young.
They look
for their age.
I think they're really good as like a younger, like 14-year-old Ellie. Like even in the flashback
episode,
episode, they just have like really good dynamic with Pedro Pascal as well.
Yeah.
That I enjoy like watching play out.
Do you think they should have recasted season 2 for like an older Ellie?
I think recasting is such like a
or like done
issue.
a young Ellie, old Ellie.
Like they should have like made a way to make them look a little more aged up. So originally they were gonna make a Last of Us movie.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Dever was supposed to have a part in that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And she auditioned for Ellie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's gonna be Ellie in that. But that was years ago. I'm curious.
I think personally that would have been better casting. Do I think Bella Ramsey's a great actor? Yes, I do. I think that they kind of kill it in some scenes.
I thought they fucking ate it.
In season 2, I think they don't have as much good writing to work with.
Yeah, I think it's more of a writing aspect and just the character changes of Ellie.
Personally,
in season 2.
The characterization of Ellie in season 2 as compared to the game is she's much more childish, annoying.
That's the thing, I feel like she doesn't mature so much as she does in the game.
Yeah, in the game it's very obvious that it's been 5 years.
2 games, yeah.
The only thing I noticed between like season 1 and season 2 Ellie was like she hates Joel.
Hair.
Yeah.
She was just like, man, fuck you, Joel.
Yeah.
But like season 1 had a lot of good moments, because they kind of like stuck to the main storyline, which is very important. But the best times are when they like expand on storylines that we don't really see much or characters that we don't hear much in the game. They have opportunities like the episode 3 when they talk about
Bill and Frank.
Yeah, Bill and Frank.
That's definitely the best part of the show when they do stuff that's not in the games. Anytime they try to do something that's in the game, it's never up to the standard of the game.
It's harder because people are going to compare it so much because the game is already like top
Well, they
tier.
also, in my opinion, I have the feeling that they change things kind of just to change things because they don't want to just make it one for one from the game, which I understand.
Right.
But
it's hard to do.
You're now kind of messing with the foundation of the
like
storytelling.
it messes with the timeline.
Well,
like, it's like multiverse.
Changing it 10 years was not a good choice, especially considering the ramifications.
But with season 1, I feel like the pacing was pretty good. I mean, they had more episodes in season 1 than season 2 had. The part 2 game is a way long, like double the time.
So I think it's like 25 to 30 hours maybe in length.
I feel like season 2 deserved to have at least like full 10 episodes. just like a major like problem I have. They didn't even make the episodes like a full hour long most of the time.
Especially like with the common complaint being the structure of part 2, them not really changing that at all and just kind of adapting that to the show.
So for my understanding is they've taken season 2 and it's what, so the second game is supposed to be 2 parts and then they took part 1 and that's season 2 of the show?
The second game isn't 2 parts. It's just like,
Well,
so basically what you saw on the show with like Ellie's like first 3 days of Seattle after Joel dies, that's how it runs. And then you get that cliffhanger and then it immediately cuts to Abby's story and you just start playing through her 3 days.
But
so there's not like
so
a
the cliffhanger's
time
in the
gap.
game?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
like
it's
at
the
that
same
moment.
cliffhanger. It cuts from the theater to
You don't know what the
Abby.
resolution is.
Okay.
I really hate how they give the exposition dump of why Abby's going after Joel, that the doctor was Abby's dad. They give that same dump like 3 times in the season. Like, they need more like show don't tell for certain things. We get introduced to Abby, we immediately know why she's after Joel. Meanwhile, in the game, when we get introduced to her, we don't know who this person is. We play as her for like a little bit, then we play as Ellie,
I mean,
and
you
then
can kind
Joel
of like
dies.
assume. Like, I think I knew before,
Uh-huh.
but there is that
I
air
kind
of
of like
mystery.
that though.
It's
it was
nice.
like, what is
Yeah,
her
I kind of
deal?
like
Yeah,
not knowing.
It's actually nice.
And then she gives the same exposition dump when Joel dies. She tells him he's handsome. Like, wow, you really are handsome.
It's just-
Congrats.
yeah.
I really like Caitlin Dever, but like that line,
Yeah, she
I
pulled
mean,
off
that's
that
not
scene
her
very well.
fault.
No.
Oh,
It's just the writing. I don't like that line.
I
That's
thought
such
it
an
was
out of
like
place line.
he's trying to find Joel based off a description, and the description was he's 6 foot, he's handsome. Like that's what she was working
Yeah.
with.
Like, that's a long shot, though.
Yeah. But like, and she goes and like sees Joel, and she's like,
I think
"You're handsome." Like they weren't wrong.
Honestly, I think it's death by comparison because the game scene is so well constructed and so well directed.
Yeah, because the original scene in the game is like dark and moody, gloomy. They're in the basement. Abby gives a little bit of a monologue. She's like, "You don't get to rush this." That line is still kept in. Joel, he could probably conclude that like, yeah, you're firefly. I mean, he does find out that they're fireflies, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
just doesn't know that she's the doctor's daughter.
Oh yeah, in the
Like,
game
and
he
Joel
tells
has
her to shut
no
up.
idea. Yeah. Joel has no idea. I mean, he knows that they're fireflies, but he has no idea. Like, who are you? Like, who's you?
Oh, who was you?
They tried to do the same like badass Joel moment of hurry up and just whatever
do it,
speech you
just
have
do it
rehearsed out and let's get this over with. But they let her have a whole speech before that.
Yeah,
and then
like,
he
it
just
kinda
says,
kills
shut
the
up and get it over with. So it
momentum.
doesn't really work for me. I think.
And also with Abby, like her body build in the game is such like an important part. Like she gets buff because she wants to go on this revenge mission.
As someone who's defended that choice of a woman being quite buff for years, I find it extremely frustrating that they
I
didn't
agree.
hold on to that.
See, I just had no idea who Abby. Well, I knew what Abby was doing. I just didn't know her game. Everyone's trying to tell me in the show that she's like some super soldier, but I don't see that.
Yeah, you can see that in the game. I mean, it's a lot more apparent.
Like I know she had a revenge arc, but I'm like, you're telling me she tracked down Joel all the way from Seattle or Salt Lake City or wherever they were from, and then like she's a Marine the whole time. I wish they did some sort of like, I don't know, something with that to show me what's going on.
Yeah, in the game, because you're playing her at the beginning and you're fighting as her, you can see her strength and the way she fights. And like in the show, she's getting attacked by the Horde and then Joel just saves her and they ride off to the cabin. Whereas in the game, there's like a whole sequence there where you're playing her, you're fighting zombies, you're bashing their heads in, and you can definitely tell that she's like a trained military personnel. Also because of what she's wearing. Like they have guns
and their equipment.
And everyone in the show has like brand new North Face jackets all the time.
Product placement.
And also in the cabin scene, so Joel's death scene, like they change it up where like Dina goes with him instead of Tommy. The night before, like New Year's Eve, Tommy's like, "I'll see you next year," because he leaves, and then he never sees Joel again.
True, he doesn't.
So
see him
he never sees it because he's like, "I'll see you next year."
Yeah.
Nope.
And he doesn't.
Doesn't seem next year. It doesn't seem the year after that. I'll tell you that much. They did my man so dirty. I can't believe they killed him off. No.
I don't know how I feel about. I kind of like the change of Dina going with Joel here instead because it kind of makes sense of like.
It gives her
like,
more of a reason to go to Seattle.
Yeah, instead of just following Ellie, she has her own relationship with Joel in the show, whereas like we don't really see that in the game.
Yeah, they knew each other for like 5 years.
She's like another daughter to him
Yeah.
in a way because they're like same age, and she's not mad at
Yeah,
like
she's-
Ellie is.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like that change.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad.
And it also makes sense too, because then she has the information of where they're going, who they're looking for.
True,
I do kind
yeah.
of miss Tommy there too, but I mean, if they're making the attack on Jackson, because they do the Horde episode 2,
Yeah.
you know, he's a big all about community guy. He also has a kid in
Yeah.
the town over
Yeah,
there,
literally.
whereas in the game he doesn't. So when Joel dies, he's like all
Which I'm
for going after for Joel.
I'm skeptical about this kid. I think they introduced this kid. They're just gonna kill him off.
I'm kind of curious.
I thought they were gonna kill the kid off way before.
He hasn't really been in it much. At
Yeah,
all.
a scene to uplift Joel as a father figure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that it's a fine change. That whole episode is kind of again his death. I don't know. I think
I
it
will
was
say
bad direction.
I shed a tear.
Yeah,
I did
trust.
shed a
I was.
tear.
I'll be honest with you. I was laughing. I
Oh
was.
my God.
I was so
I was
upset.
crying on the floor.
When I watched that scene in the game when it first happened, and almost every time since, I actually get a little shaky, and it makes me extremely
Yeah,
emotional.
that scene,
Um,
every single time that scene in the game, and then the scene where Sarah dies in the game gets
Yeah.
me every single time.
And I think it's true that Neil Druckmann is the best director out of everyone in the show. The episodes that he directs
Yeah, like the final 2
are the
and
best.
With Hallie Gross, the co-writer of part 2. She
Yeah.
also helped with the last 2 episodes, I believe.
I think it was a mistake to not let him direct episode 2. No hate to Mark Mylod, but I don't know. I just think that I
Like,
really was disappointed.
When
in that
she
episode.
crawls to him, that gets me.
Like, come
the
on.
the
I
scene,
thought it was emotional.
the shot.
I didn't find it emotional at all.
I
I was
was
laughing.
distraught.
I'm
Oh my
sorry.
God.
I'm sorry. I didn't. I
They killed my boy.
A problem I have too after that. So in the game, it's kind of immediate. Like it's been like a few days because we see like his gravestone set up. We get the same shot of her like going through his clothes and like that's a little emotional too in the show. Yeah, it's immediate, but then in the show, it's like a 3-month time skip. So we see her go to the hospital for her injuries she gets, and then so much time passes. It's like, where was that momentum? Because
Yeah.
she's not in the hospital for 3 months
Oh.
in the game.
Oh yeah.
I don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah, I thought it was just more of like she needed to grieve.
Yeah,
and like
I think that
she
works.
was like in the mental hospital because she was like having a tough time because her father died.
Meanwhile, I feel like her way of grieving in the game is her going for revenge. Like,
Yeah.
it is a story about grief.
Yeah,
Whereas,
I
like,
agree.
we don't see her grieving in that 3 months. We see her grieving in the game, like, immediately, and her conflicting problems, especially with, like, the porch scene that happens the night before, where she's, like, just ready to forgive him. In the show, I don't know, they kind of skip past all that. I feel like the directors of the show were so scared of like getting the same backlash they got when the game released and tried to like change certain things, but then it just made it kind of worse. But then it helped people start reflecting on the game and be like, actually this is really good, because everybody was hating on it.
For what it is, the game is pretty much perfectly paced and like exactly what it needs to be.
It makes sense because you hate Abby, but then you start playing as her and you grow empathy for her, like through her perspective. and
Yeah,
her
I got no empathy for
shoes.
Abby right now. I don't even know who she is.
You don't know what's going
I
on
don't
with
know
the
any idea,
WLF.
you
They
know.
included so many WLF scar scenes in this. When
Yeah.
it's supposed to be focused on Ellie's side
I don't
of
get
things.
that. Yeah, why did they
Because
do
next season they're gonna be showing a lot of that. But then are they gonna show anything with Ellie, like where they could have fleshed out her side of things more and then save some of that for later on?
that? Even fighting Seraphites? She doesn't fight any Seraphites.
She kills like 3 people this whole season. Whereas
Which-
I mean it's a bit different because in the game the gameplay aspect is you killing people like left and right.
Yeah, I
which
was gonna say
makes
y'all were
sense,
saying Ellie's a
but-
baddie, but I was
I don't know.
not.
I think that Ellie needs to be a bit more of a menace, a bit more of a scary
yeah,
like, figure.
something like we need to be scared of her. I think they were scared to make her unlikable in the show.
Joel is much more unlikable.
The whole flashback episode.
Why was he a homophobe? Why did they gotta do that to my man Joel?
Once he gets to Jackson, he kind of settles down. He's dealing with like the ghosts of his past and the things that he did.
But he's getting better.
but
He
he is
doesn't
getting better.
show, he lies to Ellie about the fireflies, but after that he doesn't like betray her again in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's more Ellie's conflictions is more of like dealing with that and like figure out the truth. Which also in the game, so she goes to the hospital. Joel follows her, so she goes to look for evidence about what happened. That's when she confronts him about it. And this is about 2 years before he dies. Meanwhile, in the game, like, she finds out
Like, the night
literally the
before.
night before. Kind of weird because you find out... Like, I know she kind of always, like, knew, especially, like, with the Eugene scene, which was 9 months before. She kind of had an inkling, like, you lied, you swore. I don't really like the scene of her ratting him out to Gale. I feel like she needed to do that.
That was
like,
very unnecessary.
I feel like
Not for my girl, Gail.
she could be mad at him, but I don't think she would rat him out like that, at least in front of other people. Maybe, like,
I don't know.
give
She's
him
very
shit
immature.
later. I mean,
I
that's the
kind of
problem.
understand it.
She should have been more mature at this stage.
But even in the game, she's a little bit immature. I don't know.
But also, that's just kind of her personality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
that's what I
just
mean.
like
She
fun.
just took it as she's stubborn.
Yeah, because they
Um,
make him lie again. I don't know, the whole Eugene thing. They could have had him like going back to Jackson, and then if he turns on the way, like just shoot him then and there.
Yeah, what is
Yeah.
it?
He didn't have to break his promise to Ellie right there.
I think it's just a way to
But-
make the audience sympathize more with Abby and make him make it a bit more black and white.
Make
as to
him
whether or
so-
Yeah,
not-
they really
One
wanted
of
me to
the-
hate him those like last 2
Yeah, it
episodes.
just feels like that's
Yeah.
what they're trying to do. I think you should be able to come to those conclusions by yourself, and I think that's what the game does so well. But in the show, it's just constantly.
Keeps having to spell it out for you.
Yeah,
Like
oh my
it's
gosh.
they don't trust their audience. Like make conclusions themselves.
That's my biggest complaint about the show, honestly. I feel like every character says how they're feeling all the time.
Yeah, that was kind of my problem with Abby. Was everyone was telling me why Abby's a badass, but I wasn't seeing it really. I didn't really know what was going on. It was just like the wolf guy being like, "We need Abby so bad right now."
They're showing us those out of context scenes about the WLF without giving us the context of Abby, which is
Yeah.
a mistake because I think that they should be doing that stuff in conjunction with Abby's story so you have that context.
So like Craig Mazin in the official podcast they do, he was scared of like inserting his own ego. Well, I can't do the same thing because I'm somehow less of a writer when considering adapting the material. And he's like, if it's right, you keep it. And he was like trying to figure out what he would change. He's like, there's moments coming in season 3 where I'm so excited to replicate through adaptation because it'll be different anyway. I just feel like he picks certain stuff to change that just doesn't make sense. A good change that they could have done in the TV show format is, you know, showing Ellie's day one in conjunction with Abby's day one.
Yeah, I
like
thought that's what they were gonna
structuring
do.
it different. Because I feel like a big gripe of the game when it came out was the structure. How they're showing the WLF people at the same time as Ellie's story. They could have done that, but with Abby's stuff. And
Yeah.
then expanded. And then,
Or just do
yeah,
one
like
episode,
you said,
one episode, one episode,
yeah.
one episode.
like you said, make a different midway point or something. I don't know where they would have, like, what a good midpoint could have been if
It could
they
have been the
structured
theater.
it that way. Yeah, they still could have done the theater.
Because if you did that one episode back and forth between Abby and Ellie, you would end up with that's 6 episodes. You have 2 episodes at the beginning. That's an 8-episode season.
So then if they just
so it
make
would've been,
another, like 9 episodes like season 1 was, like, they really
Yeah, you
needed
make it 9 episodes.
more episodes.
You kind of fill out some stuff with like the flashbacks to Joel. You don't make that a single episode, and then you end at the theater at the same ending that we have now with, you know, I spared your life, and then you came and did this, and Abby's holding Ellie at gunpoint.
Yeah, the opening of next season be like the rest of Seattle and then time jump again. And then on the farm maybe. And then, because now they want to
Yeah.
make a whole separate season 4 for the Santa Barbara section.
That's insane.
Which is kind of crazy because that section is not that long. Like, I don't know how many episodes they're going to give that.
Yeah, I can't see that being more than 1 to maybe 2 episodes.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense to me.
Like, 3
If you-
is pushing it. Also, another thing, I think, instead of maybe doing a full flashback episode, they could have done a cold open of a flashback with, like, between Joel and
Exactly,
Ellie
yeah.
with each
Every
episode.
And then
Yeah.
maybe you could give Abby, you could flesh out Abby's character by giving her episodes more flashbacks to her dad.
Yeah, like,
Like,
the
that would make
beginning,
so
like
much
the
more sense to
zoo
me.
episode.
You could flesh it out. You could add more scenes with her dad, which would be really interesting.
Yeah.
That's what the show does well. Whenever it's trying to do something that's in the game, it
Expanding
doesn't
on
do as well.
stuff that they don't show in the game, they only maybe mention. See, like, they expanded on Eugene, like, the whole Eugene scene, because he was only mentioned. He was
Yeah.
never shown. He was mentioned with his, like, weed
Yeah.
store
Hell
that they
yeah.
go in.
Hell yeah.
But Gail's also not a character. They spend a lot of time on her, being, like, Joel's therapist or whatever. Yeah, Eugene, I feel like he didn't need to be, like, such a big character in this.
I mean, he wasn't huge. I actually liked that addition. Out of all the additions they've done, I like Joe Pantoliano. He's amazing.
He did. It was a good
Um,
scene. I will
I
say
just
that when he's like begging for his wife, like
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
I
week.
mean, it did make me not like Joel in that moment.
But
Yeah,
and
so-
why are they doing that though?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
the
like that. Like you
problem.
should your decision about whether or not you like Joel should be about what he did in Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
shouldn't be
that
about
was
anything
enough.
past
That was totally enough.
like
That's why I was like, why are you throwing this in our face right now?
a lot of the time the show comes back to change for the sake of change.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Because especially with the
silly.
porch scene too, that's the one that they should have left out that flashback until like season 3 at some point.
that flashback comes in at the game at the very end of the game during the final confrontation between Ellie and Abby. Just a little minor spoiler there. The fact that they brought that in at this point in the story, in the episode before the final episode, and it's 2 scenes mashed into one.
Yeah, like they merged that scene, her final like words with Joel and like trying to forgive him and move past it.
Yeah.
They merged that scene with like her finding out about the Fireflies. Okay, if she's not gonna find out 2 years before this, so she's like ruminating in it for a couple years, she should have at least found out the truth right after Eugene died.
I would say the word count in the scene in the game is probably like a quarter to maybe half of the amount of words spoken in the scene in the show. Because, I mean, obviously there's mashing 2 scenes into one, which will cause that. In the show, he's like crying. He's like, I would do it all over again. When you're a parent, I wish you would do it better than me, because it's the callback to the fucking flashback earlier in the episode, because we just had to do that. And it's like,
I didn't mind the flashback of him as a kid.
No,
like,
I thought that was a great scene.
Yet again, another expansion that they don't have in the game that adds to the character.
I just think that callback was kind of like cheap writing. Introducing a line because you know that you're going to use it later is cheap writing. It just feels to me...
Or is it planting information for later?
Yeah, like a foreshadowing.
Like, I get that it's introduced so he can explain his feelings in the scene where it should just be done by his facial expressions.
I did like the acting from both of them in the scene, I will say.
I did not.
It was an emotional journey for me personally.
I think Pedro Pascal's interpretation of Joel is I don't like it as much as the game, personally.
I have no idea what's going on in the game. I'll tell you that
the
much.
Game,
but
he's much more reserved.
Well, I think he was really
Quiet.
Reserved in like the first season,
Yeah.
and like very hard ass, very.
And I think he did much better.
And I like that. The one thing I did like about season 1 too is the character development. You could see character development with Ellie and Joel, and so it's picking up. Season 2 is picking up off of that, and it's showing Joel as an emotional person, especially as a father.
Especially with the therapist.
Yeah, he's doing therapy and stuff.
I just don't like that at all. I mean, as a character, fundamentally. Like, it would be like making Sonic slow. If you were to adapt Sonic and he was slow, that's how I feel. Like, Joel is a cold man who is not a particularly good person in the games. He softens because of Ellie. And in the show, he becomes this, like, he's always, I mean, not that I am all for toxic masculinity, but I actually like the characterization of him being a much more toxically masculine person. I think it works better for the story.
And Ellie's like the only one to like
exactly to crack that shell.
Yeah.
But in the show, he's constantly exposing his feelings to other people, crying to Tommy. You know.
Well, like, I don't know. I feel like he only talked about his feelings to Tommy and to Ellie, and that was pretty much it. What was that girl's name?
It still feels like too much.
What was it? Tess?
Oh, Tess. Yes.
Yeah. But even then, they were cold as fuck to each other. So.
Yeah. Moving away from Joel for a second, another main issue is Ellie's characterization, her outwardness of revenge and grief in this, which kind of goes back to like, you know, the 3-month time skip, like the problem I have with that. It's replaced with the much more lighter moments with Dina, which I don't hate. Like, I love their relationship in the show.
Yeah, it's good. It's actually really good.
I like their relationship in the game too. They kind of, again, they're expanding on it a little bit more here and there. And I really do love Isabella Merced, like, casting as Dina. I think she does a pretty good job of, like, bringing her to life in, like, a different way, like, different aspects maybe. And they have, like, pretty good chemistry. I feel like there could have been more of the underlying themes from the game. They're able to balance both their relationship until, like, Ellie starts being a menace in Seattle and starts killing more people. Yeah, this is why I'm here. I'm here because I'm on a revenge mission for Joel. But
yeah, I don't know.
She kind of, like, loses that aspect.
Yeah.
Dina has to, like, remind her
why they're there.
So she says that she's pregnant to Ellie, which I really hate this scene, honestly.
And Ellie's gonna be a father.
Yeah, she says, I'm gonna be a dad. Ellie's, like, happy about it in this moment. Sure, Ellie gets more happy about it later, like, post-Seattle.
Yeah,
she embraces it, which makes sense. Like, she's growing past all of that craziness and trying to move past Abby. So she calls Dina a burden when she finds out she's pregnant. But in this, she finds out she's pregnant and then immediately, like, sex scene. Because in the game...
that was great. That was great.
Like, sure, but
pregnancy
it's still...
hormones going on.
Yeah.
Also, another thing about Dina questioning her sexuality more in the show, whereas in the game, like, she's very secure in liking Ellie and, like,
I know, I was like, why was she leading Ellie on?
Yeah,
that
like,
was not chill.
In the game,
she was,
she's
like,
very open about it. Like, she doesn't give a shit.
No questioning.
She's like, she literally at one point in the show was like, yeah, I'm straight. Yeah. Even though I kissed you that night on the lips.
like, she doesn't get back with Jesse, because also, again, with that 3-month time skip, it gives her time to go back to Jesse, and, like, that's when she gets pregnant, presumably. Yeah. But in the game, it seems like she's already have been pregnant before Joel dies.
Yeah, definitely.
They start her and Ellie
grow.
Start their relationship, like, the day Joel dies. That's when they, like, smash originally. In the weed shack.
Weed shack.
I don't hate them, like, continuing their relationship, because that's a big part of this story, but if anything, they should have smashed in the tent. That would have been the perfect opportunity for them, like, when they're talking about it.
That change has ripple effects, and it affects other things that happen in the story. Like, they don't hook up there, which causes her to not ask about the scar on her arm or anything like that, which I don't think she's asked about yet.
Ina finds out Ellie's immune when they're running, like, at the end of the subway system, like, right before they get to the theater. I have to bring up. Instead of using the spores and Ellie's gas mask breaking. See, this was another characterization in the game where it's like, yeah, I really like Dina because she's about to, like, sacrifice herself immediately and give Ellie her gas mask. Which, by the way, Craig Mazin in the podcast gets it wrong. Like, he says that Dina's mask breaks and Ellie is trying to give hers.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just literally wrong.
That wouldn't be good. Yeah.
So some of the things he says in the podcast, like, he just gets wrong from the game, and I'm like, I mean,
it's a lot to remember.
But if you're adapting this, you should know.
You probably
what
should
you're
know
doing.
that.
Like, I'm sorry, but but yeah. So instead, here Dina's about to get
like
bit,
what she's
and
done
then Ellie's
every
like,
single time.
Like, no, like, puts her arm in the way because spores are just not a thing until the next episode after this, where they make spores a thing.
I think this is my biggest gripe. I keep saying that this is my biggest gripe with the show. This one, I forgot about this. Like, this pissed me off so much in the first season when they're like, oh yeah, we're not doing spores. I was like, that's one of my favorite parts about the game. I love the visual of the gas mask. I love everything about, like, the idea of the spores.
Like, Ellie could just walk through and be like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I know about the moments in the... It gives her one more thing where she can kind of, like, be this, like, deity,
one up,
like, just, like, walking around without a mask, surrounded by people who need masks.
And they show that in the Nora scene, like, because they make spores look really good in the show. Like, I
thought that was cool.
Right?
Like, I have no idea what's going on in the game, but with, like, the fungus using, like, the human corpses
on the walls, like, they're
in order to spread the spores, I was scared.
And that's like ground zero, like in that hospital.
Yeah.
Like, just wait for the big bad that's supposed to be down there next
Why would they post up there? That's, like, awful.
Well, it's because of when the outbreak happened. That's where all the patients were taken.
Yeah, that's the first,
So the more you know.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll talk about it more
in season 3. I hope. And I hope that they do the big boss.
Yeah, the boss
battle. If they don't do that in the
battle.
show, that would really suck.
Especially if they didn't do Shamblers yet. Because they never haven't shown a Shambler. So they introduced the new, like, the Stalkers.
And they got rid of Alice.
Yeah, they never show the dog, which, okay. I think they were scared to kill off a dog, but, like, they kill off children.
It's because they want to...
True.
So another thing, too, like, Ellie's just getting bit willy-nilly. Like, why is this the only way she could prove she's immune? In the subway system, it makes sense in this, like, dramatic effect they're trying to leave. She sacrifices herself to, like, save Dina in a way, because she kind of has to. In a way, like, I feel like she could have, like, just told Dina... at another point, like, hey, I'm immune, and Dina would have, like, listened to her and maybe believed her.
Also be like, look
without
up all
being
these
in this, like,
I
action thing. I feel like she would trust Dina enough to tell her one day without this being, like,
eventually.
See, they just had to smash.
They just hooked up.
See, they just had to smash.
Well, they hook up after.
Yeah.
At least in the show, they hook up after.
Yeah, they haven't. True, they haven't even hooked up yet. I'm immune.
I'm pregnant. Smash. That's how it went.
And Dina's like, I'm about to pop you because you're
I know.
bit.
I was like, damn.
Like, not even trying to.
I like that.
I guess it makes sense, but, like, also. She's not even gonna try to, like, say goodbye. Like, she was like so ready to
just
shoot
keeping
her
at a distance.
No, she was about to shoot her.
Well, she had a gun on her.
Before Ellie, like, talks to her, like, no.
I think it makes sense. I like that. That's fine.
I don't know. I really hate how they did that scene and, like, the whole, like, pregnancy reveal.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Like I said, like, with Ellie's run for revenge, it makes sense that she would be like, Dina, you're a burden. And she's not saying that she doesn't love Dina. She's saying that because, oh, you were pregnant, but you still came here.
Well, also, she's kind of lashing out. She's upset. Yeah. Like, she's like, fuck, we're in such a bad situation.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did you come here? Even though it's not Dina's fault. She didn't know beforehand.
After that, like, Ellie's supposed to, like, go on her own and, like, do the rest of Seattle on her own and have Dina, like, wait at the theater. But then Dina's like, no, I'm, like, ready to die. Like, if I die, it's my fault. But then she's, like, mad at Ellie kind of later for putting her life in danger. But, like, Dina, you had a choice. And also, Ellie was so ready, like, be like, I'll bring you back. I mean, in the game, like, we don't have Dina with her for her to say that.
Yeah.
She doesn't say that. Like, Ellie's like, no, I need to go kill this woman.
In the game, you can really understand why Ellie would be mad at her for coming and going off on her own and going on this revenge mission. But in the show, they don't really justify it. At episode 3, she's like, maybe we should just go home. And Dina's like, no, we have to kill them.
Yeah, like, why is Dina
inspiring
her to keep going? Like,
Dina in the game is kind of there to support her. And once she realizes the extent of this, she asks to turn back, and Ellie says no.
No, yeah, so. Ellie's like the one to be like, no, I can't yet. I feel like they're kind of dumbing down Ellie, in a way to like uplift Dina and make her the smart one with everything that they're doing, like with killing people.
And like, why is like Dina the one that's counting the amount of clickers? Counting,
she's the one triangulating. I understand making like Ellie the more impulsive fighter, but they still don't make her a fighter in the show. That's the problem.
Yeah, they don't do that.
You could see in the flashback, like, Ellie feels so much more confident with Joel, and, like, Joel teaches her how to survive and all this, but then it's, like, once Joel dies, she forgets it when she's around Dina. Dina's kind of, like, the one picking up her slack, but there shouldn't be any slack that Ellie has.
Like, I didn't really feel that way, though. I feel like they both contributed to like the plan that was going on. Ellie like was still taking charge in like a lot of moments as well, especially when they were getting to Seattle. She was forming plans as well. Like she wasn't sitting there doing nothing while Dina carried.
No, but I don't think they make it, for a show that seems to like prioritize making things as clear and as possible, I actually don't think they made that clear enough. Like I would have liked to see more openly the leader of this group.
Like they pick up on each other's faults. Dina's more of the planner and Ellie's more of like an impulsive one, but she's still strong and she still knows what she's doing. Smart. Still, she doesn't need Dina there. Like she could figure it out on her own if Dina wasn't there. Dina is again like there to support her and help her out, but I don't know, in the way like that the show presents it, she needs to feel more secure in her ability to survive. And then also in the podcast, another thing that's really fucking weird, Craig Mazin compares Dina and Ellie's relationship to a child-parent relationship.
Oh, so that's not...
And it's like, so first of all, they're supposed to be partners.
Yeah, they're lovers.
They're supposed to be lovers. Like,
they
it's a really
smashed,
weird comparison.
So I don't like that.
And in a way, it's like, again, dumbing down Ellie to like make Dina like a mother. And it's like, why are we comparing them in this sense?
Maybe he's trying to insinuate that after Joel's death, kind of Ellie's attaching herself to some sort of parental figure in some way.
But Ellie shouldn't need a parental figure anymore.
Yeah, I don't agree with it.
And her parental figure should maybe be like Tommy.
An interpretation of the
like,
game.
why is her parental figure Dina? Like, that's her partner. Like, they should be equal.
Yeah, I mean, her power dynamic is definitely becomes Tommy.
And, like, reflecting on the season, I was listening to some, like, the season 1 official podcast, too, and, like, Craig also kind of explains Tess and Joel's relationship in a child-parent way. And in the podcast, they kind of confirm, they hint at it more in the show, very less so in the game, that they were, like, involved romantically. Mm-hmm. But Craig, once again, says it's parent-child, like, Tess is the only person Joel will listen to, or, like,
oh, I thought it was more like siblings.
Yeah,
like,
I kind of get a lot more sibling relationship, even if
what's up with this parental?
I don't, so much parental. So Ellie, like, kills Nora, right, in the finale. She gives, yet again, the same exposition dump of who Joel killed, that it's Abby's dad. It makes Dina start, like, questioning, oh, why are we on this journey? Because Ellie, like, never tells anybody about the fireflies. She kind of kept it a secret, which makes sense. Like, why would you want to tell anybody that? So Neil's, like, in the podcast describing withholding this, like, Ellie robs Dina of fully making a thoughtful choice. But Dina says, well, proceed, at least before, like, the Nora thing where she's, like, injured and she's like, no, we're gonna go home. He's like, would she have continued to move forward if she had all the information about the fireflies? So he's, like, makes a comparison, like, Ellie robs her of her true agency in a similar way to, like, Joel robs Ellie of her true agency at the end of, like, season 1 or the first game. I mean, Joel was doing what he could to save his daughter. I honestly think the Fireflies were the ones who, like, robbed Ellie of her true agency. Before they, like, knock her out and are about to do surgery, they should have, like, told her, or, like, be like, say your goodbyes.
We're gonna fucking kill you.
Like, they're the ones who, like, don't tell her the plan or what's gonna happen. Sure, Ellie would probably still give up her life, but at least she would know what's gonna happen.
This should be consensual.
I don't think they care about consent in an apocalypse. No. Like, maybe we could get a cure.
Is the cure even going to work? How are they going to distribute it when everyone's in a faction?
I'm pretty certain the cure was going to work in the show.
I am a fan of the idea that the cure would most likely have worked, and it would have been good if you're leaving the cure, like whether or not the cure would work up to like, I don't know, maybe it could have, it may not have. His choice that he makes, it's not as impactful.
Yeah,
Like
it's more morally gray.
A lot of people say that the second game completely retconned it and made it so that like the cure would definitely work.
Not even like they still
it,
question about it in the second game. Abby's dad is having a little bit of doubts in that one flashback.
Is
also,
he?
mind
I feel
you,
like
he's a vet.
Sure.
He's not even a real doctor. He's a vet. So he should. I don't know. They still should have given like Ellie the rundown before knocking her out and just killing her like
if
that.
I'm putting myself into Firefly's shoes, she'd be dead.
True. Yeah.
I would not give her
I wouldn't tell her. I'd be like, yeah, you're gonna be great.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine.
Just in case she's like, no, I actually don't want to do this.
But
I think she would have done it.
Then you put yourself in Joel's shoes, and you're like, I would kill them all.
Yeah, like I need to kill them all.
That's what's great. That's what's great about the first game.
Yeah,
and the second game, because that's the whole foundation of the second game of perspective and empathy.
So the finale. How do we feel about the finale? The Scar Island scene? How do we feel about that?
I think that was... If you're saying that was originally supposed to be in the game...
That's what they said in the podcast. They said that the scene about Ellie landing on Scar Island, like on the way to the aquarium, was supposed to be in the game, but they cut it. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason
why they cut it. It broke up the pacing. She should have encountered Seraphites earlier on like day 2 or something. More Seraphites, because they did encounter them a little bit when they were in the park.
Like
but it should have been a more fleshed out scene. Maybe that scene could have happened or something similar. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why she's just like, you're building the suspense of going to the aquarium. A big wave comes. We have a slight detour on an island.
Barely any words are spoken.
Let's get back to it.
And then we're like,
oh no,
the village.
Yeah.
And
so that's
why
just
back to the boat and leaving. I was
like what?
As a viewer, my takeaway was like, oh, okay, they just really want us to know that the island was attacked or the village was attacked.
But you
they already said that.
Right.
Like that they were
so I don't know with her in the boat looking.
I didn't know if that had context in the game.
Yeah, like they still have that scene of her in the show, like after she leaves the island, they still have the scene of it exploding in the background. So you're like, oh, what's going on over there?
Yeah, they could have literally just had that.
Mind you, that scene also is like Abby's scene in the second game.
Yeah,
like where she's about to get.
Honestly,
hanged.
I was really scared for a second that they were about to completely shift.
I know my first time
Ellie
watching that, I was like,
Yara.
"What is happening?" And like, isn't this supposed to be Abby's scene?
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
I was so scared. Ugh.
And then so she's like hesitant to kill Owen and Mel. Like, first of all, like, she kills them separately in the game, like, because Mel, once she shoots Owen, like, or stabs him, Mel goes and, like, goes to stab Ellie.
Yeah. For a story about the cycle of violence and people being violent, in the show, for some reason, they're making everyone, like, not want to kill each other.
Yeah.
Like, Ellie doesn't want to kill them. They don't want to kill Ellie. The only reason that Owen tries to pull a gun is because she has a gun drawn on them. They're all like, hey, we didn't want to kill you back in Jackson. Please don't hurt us. Everyone doesn't want to kill each other. In the game, they're so cutthroat to each other, which makes sense.
And their first mistake was letting Ellie live. Like, they should have known that. Like, that's a loose end. Like, something's going to happen. I don't like that they made her shooting Mel an accident. Like, it was deliberate in the game.
The accident in the game is killing her when she's pregnant. And
she's like, she doesn't know that she's pregnant. Like, she
like,
notices, like, afterwards, and she's like, oh. And that's the first time Ellie starts to get doubts. Like, in the show, like, Ellie already has doubts when she's talking to Dina after killing Nora, which is literally the first and only person that she's killed on this mission. Meanwhile, in the game, like, she's already killed, like, a couple other...
Well, in the game, it's
like,
the first time
Abby's
she starts having doubts as well.
In the show, I really hated this scene because they, like, made Mel be like, oh, okay, now cut out the baby in my stomach. Like,
yeah, I don't
mind
know why
you, like, Mel's only... Because she wasn't showing when they killed Joel, and that was 3 months before. So I'm going to say she's about maybe 3 to 4 months, depending on how long it took them to go to Seattle. But, like... that baby's not gonna live. Well, what do you think? And mind you, why would you want the person who just shot you guys to like try to take care of your baby?
She just wants
hope baby live.
Oh, that baby's not surviving.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the game, like Mel she was doing all this, and like when you see like later in like Abby's like plot line, she was doing all this while pregnant, and she kind of did not give a shit about the baby. She was not like...
She's a lot more harsh in the game.
Yeah, she was a lot more harsh, like not nice.
Oh, she was a softie. Because like during Joel's murder, like, she was literally the whole time, she was like, why are we doing this? Like, what guys, let's not do this.
Yeah, like...
Abby, stop.
These are all soldiers. In Abby's section, we see that Mel goes out and is on deployment. These people are soldiers who are bred and born to kill people in this, like, horrific war between the WLF and the Seraphites. And in the game, that is much more on display. They are ruthless. They have some emotions of not killing innocent people when they're in Jackson. Like, they don't kill Ellie. But in the show, they're soldiers still. But at the same time, they're like, really
they're kids. They're wimpy kids.
Yeah.
They're just normies. Everyone in the show was a normie.
Mid-20-year-olds. They're like our age, if you think about it.
The only reason I was like, the only reason I was like, Joel is so good is because he's got plot armor.
True.
And they killed him off. And then they killed him off. Same with Abby. I'm like, I don't know anything about you. You're just a normie kid, and you're all of a sudden like, I don't know. Yeah. Everyone's telling me you're a badass.
Yeah. I'm trying to be like, she's the future of the WLF.
Yeah, and I'm like, this gal, like.
I mean, even in the game, I'm like, really, but they don't really spell that out.
I don't know if in the game, if like what you're saying, if she's a baddie and like she's like
she definitely
as fuck, I'd be like, I want her
like
to be my leader.
People's heads in.
Yeah.
She's not fucking around.
Which is a thing too. Like Craig's like in the theater scene in the podcast, he's like he calls Abby more competent than Ellie.
Yeah,
which like
I think that's
sure, true. But also
physically.
Like she's not physically in the show, at least.
Oh, not in the show.
Not what we have seen yet.
No, in the game, she's definitely physically.
Yeah.
Ellie's a little bit smarter. Like
Ellie's smarter, but
sneaky.
Abby has like military training, I guess. Yeah. But like still, like Ellie's competent. Like I don't know. And then another thing too in the podcast, like talking about like, so Hallie Gross is like, Ellie should have just like cut out the baby, like. Even if you're wrong, you're giving this kid a chance. I'm like, this kid doesn't have a chance.
No, because she's on a mission.
They kind of say like in the podcast too about that like true confirmation. She's not Joel. She's not mature enough. How is she not mature enough just for like not cutting out the baby? She doesn't know what she's doing, and they try to make it say like Joel would do this.
Joel would cut out the baby.
Like,
Hell
do you really think Joel would do this?
Joel would
like,
curb stomp that
bitch. Like Trust. He would not. Apparently, I think maybe they said this in one of the episodes of season 1 podcast, like the official podcast. They said that they didn't want the actors to play the game or like watch scenes from the game.
Yeah.
So they could like make the characters their own.
Yeah.
Which like I guess it makes sense, but also how are you not gonna want your actors to at least get a sense of like
Yeah, wait, what?
Well, they spoke with the original actors, of course. So I think that was probably enough information. In my opinion, kind of tarnished some of the
That's part
scenes.
of acting, though.
But it's kind of like
the material
saying,
and you make it your own.
Like, so if you're taking a book adaptation, you're gonna tell them not to read the book.
Right. Yeah. True. Like, yeah. I know. I'm like, why did I think everyone did like a playthrough of like the whole game?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That is a good point, actually. Caitlin Devers played the game. She loves the games.
Which like good. Maybe she'll like spin Abby in her own way. I actually think you can kind of
see it in her performance.
Yeah.
I truly.
From what we have seen of Caitlin Dever, I think she's doing a pretty good job.
She's great.
Expectations for season 3.
Bad. It's not gonna be good.
I kind of hope that they're gonna do like a Seraphite backstory of the Prophet and what's going on with that.
Yeah,
they don't really explain that all too much in the game. Also, I was just saying like Tommy scene, maybe another flashback so they could utilize Joel, and then it's like a scene with Tommy or something.
I think they're gonna keep Pedro Pascal around.
They're definitely gonna have to include him in some way, because like to not include him at all in the next season, like they're gonna have to do something with him. But a 2-year time gap between the 2 seasons, I'm kind of stressed about, because they should have already been in like, I think they're in production right now for season 3, but they should have assumed they were gonna get a season 3 for this if they were splitting the whole game in 2 parts. And, you know, Last of Us is so popular. Like, they have the HBO budget. Like, they have the fan base, even if a lot of the game fans are upset with how second season went. Like, they knew it was going to happen. So, it should have already been, like, in, like, like, they should be filming it this year. Which I don't know if they are. I think maybe they might be filming at the end of the year. But I believe they said next year they're going to be filming it. Which is just dumb. Like, why are we going to wait 2 years for that? Yeah, they should have did maybe, like...
Should have filmed it all.
I would film it all at once and then just cut it in half and then at least wait a year.
Yeah.
Or like at most wait a year to release it, because on that cliffhanger too. Because
Yeah,
if you're playing the game, you get to play it immediately. Like, and keep going.
Even when you still got to play it immediately, that was people's least favorite part. Because they were like, wait, now I have to play through Abby's section and I have to wait I don't know, like 10 hours before I can get back to, not even 10 hours, to get back to the theater.
Yeah.
Like that, people were pissed about that. Now imagine having to wait 2
years for that.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, because at least like if you're playing as a game, it's like whatever.
You can play it like immediately.
But that was still such a big problem. People hated that. But if you're gonna adapt it, don't change the story elements. Change how things are laid out.
Yeah, because once you start changing some of the story elements, like main changes, that's when you get some of the
That's when you get
characterization wrong.
Future Days not existing and Joel making up that song.
And I still kind of
And
don't
the
get
scores.
how Abby and their group was able to find Joel.
Oh my god. See,
Like-
see, I know you guys got lots and lots of
Traitors.
issues with everything going on in comparison, but my biggest issues was just how the characters just magically appeared every single time.
Yeah, the Jesse one was the worst.
Jesse magically
Yeah,
appearing
like-
out of
And then,
nowhere.
and then the last
Abby
episode, he's
magically
like,
appearing out of nowhere, killing
At like
Jesse.
the perfect timing. He explains
He's like
that like he
He tried
finds
to
them from the
explain it, yeah.
map, like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
triangulation that
He's like, we
Dina
spent
did.
But
Did-
still, it's a random
And also-
building in a random city in a random room.
in the middle
like,
of a also too like Jesse's characterization in the show is like he hates Ellie, like
Yeah,
he's
which, like,
so angry.
so
in
fair.
the show,
It's fair,
In the show's so
but-
fair.
He's
No,
like-
in the
he-
game he's more
Or in the
chill.
game,
Like
I mean.
he's more supportive of their relationship because again, like
yeah, he's
it
more like,
kind
he
of
doesn't care.
like
He's
the way
"Nah, I don't care,
it
man."
kind of seemed like they were back together in that 3-month time gap, right?
Yeah.
Jesse and Dina. So it kind of makes it seem like she was a cheater. Because
Oh,
like
yeah.
like Jesse probably didn't realize like that they got together until like Jesse appears and he's like, yeah, so you guys are a thing or whatever
Yeah,
whatever they
true.
say.
she pregnant?
Yeah, he finds out she's pregnant like just by guessing because she refuses a drink.
I think I think Jesse. Honestly, I think he's quite good. I think he's good casting. I think he's pretty good in the show. I'm happy with him. I think he's probably one of the better parts of the season.
I do like Jesse. I just like him a little bit better in the game. But also, like, I mean, it kind of makes sense why he's mad, because, again, they're changing stuff, which changes the character, how the characters react in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, in the game, like, he doesn't have that huge of a reason to be mad at Ellie, because
know. In the
Tommy's there already, so they
again,
have to go after Tommy.
That's
True,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
Hopefully,
That's on that.
season 3 is better, pacing-wise. They said they want to add more episodes. Which
Why would they do more episodes for season 3?
I don't know. They should have done an even split, like for both of them. But curious who they're gonna cast as Lev, because
I'm
that's a big
excited for that.
character.
That's gonna be the thing I'm most excited about for this.
Because they didn't
Sorry.
show Lev in the theater scene when Abby's there. I'm assuming
If they
he's
get
probably
rid of
just
him-
offside. No, there's no way they're gonna
Imagine
get
if
rid of
they
him.
mash
He's too
They
important.
mash Yara and Lev into one character.
I really hope not. That would make kind of no
That
sense.
would piss me off.
Because Yara's important for Lev. I'm assuming they just didn't show Lev in that clip because they haven't casted him yet.
yeah.
And they still have 2 years to go. So
they better get to it.
curious.
They better get
They
to
better
it.
get to it snappy. 'Cause-
Snappy style.
Yeah.
Why did we just both say so?
Final conclusion. I think I'm more neutral on the show. You're like, yeah, love it, because you don't have the game
Yeah,
perspective.
I thought the show was great. I thought the pacing was good. I thought the character development was good. Season 2 wasn't as fun as season 1. It didn't make as
but
much
I mean,
sense.
the story's not.
The story's not fun.
Yeah, the
It's
story's
so
not
fucking
fun.
depressing.
It is a very
Yeah. The
game
hard
is so
story.
depressing.
Yeah.
I like the show. I also didn't like some parts of the show. So I feel like they rushed through certain things. They could have used more episodes again and could have done a better structure different from the game.
I didn't love season 1. I thought it was a okay adaptation of the game. I never ever thought it would be as strong as the game because
The game's already so cinematic.
well done.
Just go watch it, all the cutscenes together
Yeah,
as a movie.
Season 2, I think it's worse, unfortunately. And if you're gonna make an adaptation, don't change all the story elements. Maybe change the structure, or maybe kind of mess with it in that way.
The characterization should have been the same. Certain elements could have been different.
Yeah.
And structure could have been different.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I will still be tuned in for season 3. And I will be replaying the game now because I'm inspired.
Yeah, me too.
And I'll be watching the Let's Play.
Yeah,
so I know what's
I'm gonna
going
force
on.
him to watch it.
Because I don't know what's going on. Keep watching.
Stay tuned for something else. Keep your media literacy skills up.